Go love your own enemies. Don't be loving mine. My enemies are the theocratic fascists. I don't love them. I want to destroy them.
Child made in the image of God. Oh no, you're not. You're a faggot. And you can't join your church and you can't go to heaven. This is disgraceful. It's inhuman.
Well, I wrote a letter today. I've been writing letters. I've been leaving messages. I've been doing everything I can every day to fight. Because, you know, they say the pen is mightier than the sword. By the way, you guys haven't seen her for a while. This is Aurora, one of 3 snakes that I kept from St. John and Sissy's clutch. They were born, there were 38 babies born last November 20th. So now they're a year and 1 month old. Aurora is the biggest, and she's the female. I also have Sting, who could be another female but a runt, or it could be a male but also a runt. And then I have Zephyr, who is the male, and getting pretty big. There's actually some significant weight to when I pick them up. They feel like, you know, there's significant snake here, not just the little babies that they were last year. Anyway, so I wrote a letter today to the Republican National Committee, and then I posted it on Facebook, and I got such a good such good feedback from this letter that people were asking if they could use it as a template. People were asking if they could send a copy of it to their senators, which I wrote back and said, yeah, hell yeah, just feel free, sign your name to it, I don't care. I also sent a copy of it to, a paper copy of it to the Supreme Court, which I will read a version of that to you, or that version of it to you. I also sent a copy of it to the White House and to the Justice Department and to, I'm trying to think who else, my 2 state senators. Oh, and I also sent it to a couple of news stations in my area. I just feel like they're expecting us to roll over and accept an illegal, I can't talk now, illegal election. That's a hard thing to say, those 2 words. Illegal election results. They are expecting us to, first of all, after the election, they came out, they bombarded us with all these things. Oh, this happened during the election, this happened. All these things to point out why this election was tampered with and manipulated, and what the FBI did 1 week before, and what Russia did, and on. The minority voter suppression, the broken machines, the 87 broken machines in Detroit, Michigan, etc., etc. All these reasons why we should not accept this result. And then they expect us to, they still expect us to accept this result. That blows my mind. Anyway, I put this letter together and I sent it to the Republican National Committee, and this is what I wrote to the Supreme Court. This is a paper letter that I mailed today. Your honors, I have no idea how to address them, so that's what I said. Below is an email I sent to the Republican National Committee. I have been calling and writing letters every single day to my senators, to the Department of Justice, to the White House, to the CIA, and the FBI in D.C. that contributed to this. To date, I have not encountered one single government representative who has cared. Parentheses, this is not my letter. I've been hung up on twice by the FBI. Very professional. Back to the letter, which forces me to conclude that I, as an ordinary citizen, care more about the future of my country than any elected official. The message reads, and this is what I sent to the Republican National Committee. I would like to know why the leaders of my government are expecting us to accept the results of an election that has so obviously been tampered with and meddled with, parentheses, hacked, on so many fronts as this one. Russia meddled, a faction of the FBI meddled deliberately and in the last week. Minority votes were suppressed in several states, and 87 machines were broken in Detroit where other machines were tampered with. I'm sorry, but the playing field in this election was unfairly tipped in Trump's favor, and it should be declared null and void at once. I will never accept this man who is so woefully unqualified and mentally unsound. The fact any Republican leader accepts this man tells me your interests are not in the safety and well-being of this nation and its people, but in your own power and agendas. It means the GOP itself has become a clear and present danger to the United States of America and something that needs to be thrown out. You do not care about people. You do not care if elderly people who have contributed their entire lives and paychecks to Social Security starve to death in the streets. You do not care that poor parents who finally can afford care for their critically ill children lose the ability to afford that care. You do not care about the homeless. You do not care about a woman who might die of infection if she cannot have an abortion. You do not care about the environment or what kind of air we breathe or what beauty our children's children will get to see, if any, or about the record-breaking number of species that are going extinct. You do not care if the Constitution of the United States is violated. You actually hope to rewrite the Constitution and rob free Americans of the very rights our founding fathers and veteran fathers fought for. If you cared, you would not be going along with this illegal election and acting like it is a legitimate result. It was not. In my 54 years on this earth, I have never seen any election so clearly contrived and manipulated. And I'm sorry, last time I checked, it was a bad thing to be a commie lover. It was a bad thing to get buddy-buddy with Russia. It was a bad thing to have business investments and interests tied to Russia. It was a bad thing for the United States president to be beholden to Russia. I am a proud American, and I will fight until my last breath for the things America is supposed to stand for. And I'm sorry, Donald Trump is not it. By the way, we do not have kings in America. And then I said my name. So that's the letter. That's what I sent. I sent one to the the Democratic National Committee too, but I didn't keep a copy of it because I used their form that they provided online, and basically just chastised them for the fact that none of them are doing anything. They're not contesting the election. They're just sitting there and making us have to have this thing shoved down our throats when it was illegal and it was hacked and it was manipulated. And everybody's been very generous about letting us all know just how fucked up this election was, and yet we're still supposed to accept it. You know, the last time I saw an election that was tampered with was when Bush was first elected, and we were supposed to accept that too. And look what it did to our country. I think it's time to fight back. No, the pen is mightier than the sword, but I've also heard that writing letters does next to nothing. The best thing to do is call. And it's really not that hard to Google the phone numbers of your state senators and call them. It's really not that hard to go to Facebook and find their web pages and send them messages. It's really not that hard to call the Department of Justice. They have a comments line. In fact, hang on, I'll get you, hang on a second, I will give you some phone numbers. Okay, Department of Justice main switchboard is 202-514-2000, and then you can press option 4 to leave a comment. They won't call back, but it's a good way to say what you think and express your concerns. Okay, the White House comment line is 202-456-1111, and you will get a live person, and she'll ask you what your comment is to the president, and you tell whoever it is, usually it's a woman, and it's just a short statement. You don't get into a lengthy letter, because she's just going to relay whatever. She probably has a checkbox that says complain about election, and that's it. But yeah, it gives you a chance to talk to the White House, or you can go to the Facebook page for the White House and send them a message, and that's actually, you can send a much longer message than you can from the White House website, and if supposedly President Obama reads 10 messages a day via the Facebook messages that are sent. Or you can go to the White House webpage and click on email us, and you can choose to send a message to President Obama or the Vice President Biden, or to Michelle, basically. And that, again, you can write a message, and you won't have as much room to actually compose your message that way. So that is the White House. Unfortunately, the Supreme Court does not have an email address, but you can call them and leave a message, or actually you're going to get a live person, and you'll have to either talk to a live person or leave a comment with that live person. I've been just asking for somebody that I can talk to complain about the illegal election. The phone number for the Supreme Court is 202-479-3000. Their address, if you want to send them a written letter, is Supreme Court of the United States, 1 1st Street Northeast, Washington, D.C., 20543. Or you can go to their webpage, just go Google contact the Supreme Court, and you could probably send them a message online if you just click on email the webmaster, but whether anybody of any consequence will actually see your comment that way, probably not. So that's the Supreme Court. Now, if you want to get hung up on, but it's actually kind of fun because it pisses them off, you can call the FBI in Washington, D.C. Their phone number is 202-324-3000, and again, you'll get an operator. And I've been just asking if there's somebody I can talk to complain about the fact that they're trying to shove an illegal election down my throat. Or I might ask, who can I complain to about the fact that a faction of the FBI manipulated deliberately the election so that it would tilt in Trump's favor? Those are the two things that I comment on, and I've been hung up on. Usually if you mention the election, they hang up on you almost immediately. But if you mention that you want to file a complaint about the FBI deliberately meddling with the elections result this year, you might actually get to talk to a real person. So that's the FBI's phone number. And another place you can contact is the CIA. Their phone number is 703-482-0623, or you can go to the CIA webpage or the CIA Facebook page and leave a message and send them a message that way. So those are just some of the places you can contact, along with your state senators. I just feel like if there was like 67 million people that were against Donald Trump, if even just half of those people bothered to reach out and try to defend their country this way, maybe they would understand that they can't just expect us to swallow this again, hook, line, and sinker, like it's a legitimate, valid, legal election when it was not.